Well, it's official. I'm a sellout. After 2 years of serious axe use, I finally broke down and bought the Gransfors Bruks Scandinavian forest axe, hailed as the Cadillac of axes. This is a $200 axe, probably the most expensive production axe that you can get of this size right now on the market. And I'll tell you why I avoided this axe for so long, and I'll tell you why I shouldn't have. All right, let's get this out of the way. The reason that I avoided this axe for so many years is because of this little guy right here. Not necessarily the stamp on the axe, but the name. Gransfors Bruks is like the Nike of axes, if you will. And while I think that's a very stupid reason to buy a brand simply because it's popular, I also decided that it's a stupid reason to avoid it. I can't really criticize Gransfors Bruks unless I use one of their production axes. The only Gransfors Bruks I own is a vintage cruiser bit, and I love that thing. But I wasn't sure if a $200 lightweight axe was the way to go. But now that I have one, I think it probably is, at least for me. And hear me out on that in just a second, but more on why I avoided this. It really is like the quintessential bushcraft axe. Anybody who wants to be a bushcrafter seems to carry one of their short, small forest axes, which in my opinion are just a toy. A handle that short isn't good as an axe, and it's stupid as a hatchet, but probably going to be an ideal length and head weight for me. But yeah, I was afraid to buy it because I didn't want to be made fun of, which is childish. I just didn't want to be put in that group of, oh, you went down that path. That's stupid. Now that I have one of these and I actually can look it over, I think it's going to be one of the axes that I carry the most. All right, let's take a closer look here. This is what you get out of the box. It has like a 25-inch handle overall. It comes with a super nice sheath. It does have a welt in it. Most production axes don't come with a sheath that has a welt. It also has the snap style that I prefer for easy on-off. It also fits extremely tight. When you put this back on there, it's not like one of those axes where you can wiggle it loose. This thing is tight as they should be. I mean, there's no moving this when the sheath is on. All right, so the sheath is super nice. You would expect that though in a $200 axe. So let's put that aside and talk about the actual tool itself. This is what you get. You get a hand-forged head, and I'm gonna call this hand-forged. I know a lot of guys in the community bitch that they use power hammers. Of course they do. This is the modern world. You don't need to beat one of these things out with a hammer to call it hand-forged. That would be like saying a carpenter isn't a true carpenter because we use power tools. Of course we use power tools. It not only makes the job faster, but it makes it better. All right, again, I rant for another time. Let me show you the hang though. That's really what I care about. I mean, check this thing out. There is zero, and I mean zero, gaps in this. Look at that. That's a head you know that is not coming loose. And if it does come loose, I will let you guys know. Believe me, I will let you know. And there is still plenty of room to put a barrel wedge in there if it does come loose, but I don't think it will. All right, here's a better look at the profile, and keep in mind, this is how it came. I did absolutely nothing to this. I probably will steepen the grind a little bit, but you can see here that you get a true chisel grind when this comes out of the factory. I also like that they stamp not just the maker mark on their axes, but the actual initials of the guy, or I suppose girl, who made this particular head. That's cool, man. That means that if you're gonna put your name on something, I know I can say that. If I'm gonna put my name on something, I want the quality to be there. And this really is beautifully forged. It's just a gorgeous axe. The handle is a beast. That thing is thick, and I'll bitch about that, and then I'll tell you why I think they do leave the handles as thick as they do. All right, yeah, so the handle, it's thick, man. I mean, this is a baseball club of a handle, but it's popular. This is what you get when you get most production axes, and this doesn't come with a lacquer finish. This has oil on it. It feels nice. Like, if I wasn't going to thin this down, I'd be very happy that a handle came oiled like this. And I know for you grain guys, let me show you that. It doesn't get much better than that as far as grain orientation is concerned. Run out? Yeah, we have some there. Not a whole lot, but you have some. I'll be honest though, I think that and that matters less than the curing process of the hickory. I think it's the quality of the hickory that matters more the more I do this. And I don't know who's breaking handles so much anyway. How are you guys breaking your handles all the time? I broke one splitting axe handle a long time ago. That's it. I don't know how you guys are breaking your chopping axes all the time. Limbing would be like the only way you might be able to really bash up the handle, but okay, again, a tangent for another time. Why I think it's probably a good idea that Gransfors Bruks leaves their handles like this. Simply put, the guys that are using these to do a little bit of splitting when they go camping. That's it. And if that's all you're going to be doing is a little bit of splitting like sawn logs, you probably want to leave it a little thicker anyway. I mean, the shock that you're going to get from chopping or splitting a little bit is trivial compared to the possible breakage that you could have by severely slimming out your handle. Those of us who are interested in chopping axes, we just don't tolerate these thick handles because they hurt your hands. They really do hurt your hands. They also just make the axe feel heavier and less accurate when the handles aren't slimmed out. So I'll be doing that. And that's something else I want to talk about just briefly. It's not that this is expensive. That's not why I avoided it, if I haven't already said so. But I'm not afraid of buying expensive tools. In fact, I mostly err on the side of expensive tools because they tend to be of higher quality. I'm glad to spend the money if the quality is there. I don't like paying a lot of money for something that I could get for a lot less money that's going to do the same thing. I think just seeing this axe, however, that this is going to be worth the money, at least for me. And that's really what I'm learning, is that there's not like a perfect axe for everybody. It depends on how you use them, guys. Like, when I say it's a good camp axe or a good pack axe, I mean that it's a good axe to stick in my pack so that I can carry it into the forest and do some chopping, some firewood processing, because that's what I enjoy doing. If you want an axe just to split kindling, yeah, you can use one of those stupid small forest axes. That's going to be fine kindling axe. You might as well just bring a hatchet though, instead of that 20-inch stupid handle that you're going to hurt yourself with. All right, I promised I wouldn't. Small forest hatchet axe, I will leave you alone for now. We're talking about the Scandinavian forest axe. Let's go actually do some out-of-the-box chopping with this and see how it does. I know it's not going to be great because I'm going to want to take this profile back a little bit, and I'm definitely going to want to slim down the handle, but I bet I'm going to be surprised at how well this does out of the box. Let's get to it. I can feel the difference in the handle already. How much more shock you get from a handle this size than the axes I'm used to. knot right there. Right there. Got a knot right there, so that's not going to go through that way. Got a knot on that side. Let's try right there. Pick away at it. Yeah, look, the only thing that I'm gonna definitely have to change is that handle. It's already giving me a blood blister. And I don't like these large palm swells like this, because I tend to hold the axe right down here, not up here, and it's super fat. So we'll have to take care of that, but otherwise, I'm loving it. Oh, stringy maple. How I love you. Look at that. That's terrible. Pop. The axe in question, the Gransfors Bruks Scandinavian forest axe. As an out-of-the-box chopper, I gotta say, it does the job. Like, I've never had an axe that I just took out of the box that I could chop with. Yeah, I got a little bit of a blood blister on my hand. Show you that. So the handle is definitely gonna need some work, but the steel's holding up just fine. Absolutely nothing wrong with the steel. I probably will take this back just a little bit more, but it has no secondary bevel on it right now, and I'm guessing it's right around a 20-degree chisel grind. I'll determine that back in the shop and let you guys know. Handle has no movement whatsoever in the eye, so that's on point, and that's why I got this axe. So is this a waste of money, or is it the best out-of-the-box axe that you can buy? I'm gonna lean towards the latter. I will certainly be modding this a little bit, namely the handle. Well, here you can kind of get a look at the shape of the handle that I prefer. A slim taper to be sure, but I also like it mostly straight. And as you can see, I've taken more off of this area here, and I leave it a little bit fatter and a little bit more round or oval shaped down here so that it doesn't roll in my hands. I like flats up here. I like this to be more flat, like a hockey stick, and this to be more round, like an axe, I guess. And you can see how much I've taken off of here. I don't like a big palm swell on the axe because, as I said, I tend to hold it right on the edge there. That's how much wood I removed from that handle. And I could definitely take off some more, but that's a lot. So yeah, the handle comes thick. You're gonna have to do some work there. I'm not actually trying to maintain the existing grind here. I'm actually looking to take this back to about 18 degrees. So I'm riding a little higher on the cheeks until that comes in contact with the apex, and we'll call that good. Still seems harder than the last two production axes I bought. And this is a brand new file, so it's definitely harder still. Yeah, so I put a 18-degree chisel grind on it, just file sharp. I
used a coarse file first and then went over it with a smooth file. You can still see some of the coarse marks, the coarser scratches there from the coarse file. Those will come out in subsequent filings. I'm not too concerned about that, but it is wicked sharp.
See if we can chip some more dry stuff off of that. Everything is soaking wet. Well, guys, there isn't a whole lot to do but just hide under the tarp until it stops raining. It seems like it's slowing down. I'm probably gonna have some breakfast first, and then hopefully I'll get out and do some chopping with this guy here, the point of the video. I'll show you the mods I made and we'll talk about them, and then we'll do some chopping and see if it improved any. I just want to share this with you real briefly. I know many of you couldn't care less, and I myself am about as apolitical as they come, but I am interested in the big picture stuff. And I find the beginning of chapter 9 of The Prince relevant to today's election cycle. So he says, Machiavelli, "But we now come to the case where a citizen becomes prince not through crime or intolerable violence," which is how most of the kings got their positions, "but by the favor of his fellow citizens." We would call that democratic election, which may be called a civic principality. To attain this position depends not entirely on worth or entirely on fortune, but rather on cunning assisted by fortune. In other words, what you really need is to be clever and have a lot of money, and you can get elected president of the United States, or prime minister, if you will. If it doesn't stop raining soon, this is going to be one of those "it feels good in the hand" reviews. I at least want to cover the mods I made, and I would like to see if they made a difference. I know certainly the handle's improved. I won't be getting one of those again. And I steepened the grind to 18 degrees. The steel is hard, not fun to file sharpen. I have an old council tool splitting axe that the steel is so hard the file won't even touch it. You have to sharpen it with whetstones, and it's miserable, but you don't have to sharpen it very much, and it does take a wicked edge. So I guess that's the trade-off. We'll see. Yeah, this is crazy. It rained cats and dogs last night. I mean, bucketed down. Our power's out, and of course my backup generator isn't working for some reason. Ah, c'est la vie. On a side note, do you guys know where the phrase "it rained cats and dogs" originated? So back in London, England, before they had their sewer gutter systems sorted out, when it would rain really hard because the streets were starting to be cobblestones, the rain had nowhere to absorb into the soil. So some of the stray, I guess it wasn't unusual to find a stray cat or dog dead in the morning after a heavy rain. I know, morbid, right? you'll think about that next time you say it rained cats and dogs. You can thank me if you didn't already know. I don't have much time here, but I want to put at least a couple of notches in this log to see if the mods have made any difference. Seems to be biting deeper already. And despite it having mostly flat cheeks, it doesn't seem to be sticking too badly. He says, as it sticks. Missed on that one. Handle feels much better. It's definitely biting deeper. I'd say we got a winner. Oops. It's throwing decent sized chips, and at a 17 degrees or maybe 18 degrees chisel grind, no bevel whatsoever, even with this hard maple, doesn't give the steel any trouble. The handle is considerably thinner. Probably could have thinned it out a little bit more, but it's fine the way it is now. So yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys next week on another one.